It's all about how to refocus your brain instead of all the negative aspects of life, refocusing it
Okay.
on the positive and looking for opportunities and gifts and
Wow.
situations versus looking for what could go wrong. Because our brain wants to fix stuff, but
Yeah.
not everything needs to be fixed. And sometimes by trying to fix it, we actually create bigger problems. You think about relationships. You're
Wow.
trying to fix your significant other. They probably don't appreciate it. And then you're training them, you're actually teaching them how to behave towards you and vice versa. So if you're looking for problems, they're going to look for problems too. And then there will be a problem. Versus if you're looking for the gifts and opportunities in situations,
Yeah.
then it's gifts and opportunities and it's fun. It's not something to dread or something to worry about.
Hey, Entre Leaders. Happy Wednesday, and welcome to another episode of the Leaders Lab podcast. If you are new here, I am your host, Dr. Charity C. Campbell, better known as Dr. C, and I am a doctor of management, a world-class millennial global leader, an academic professional, and a multi-passionate entrepreneur. Here in the Leaders Lab, we talk all things entreleadership. This is where we take entrepreneurship and leadership concepts and we marry the two together. Not only that, but we discuss communication practices, strategies, ways to improve and balance as a millennial professional. And in today's very special episode, our guest is here to talk to us about something that I recently gained interest in, maybe I would say towards the end of 2020. She's going to be talking to us about the brain science of leadership, how to work with, not against yourself, by understanding how your brain naturally functions. And here with us today is Desiree Musselman. She is a leadership development coach and a trainer and the founder of Desired Effects Coaching, where she works with new and mid-level leaders to enhance their leadership skills and help them create their own motivation, figure out what they want to do, where they want to go, and learn patience. And she designed full leadership development programs for existing and upcoming leaders, focusing on soft skills, including emotional intelligence, communication skills, team dynamics, and work-life integration. She also says that she has a nerdy passion for neuroscience and how it can be used to take simple action on complex ideas and goals. Entre leaders, please help me give a warm Leaders Lab welcome to our guest today, Desiree Musselman. Welcome to the Leaders Lab, love.
Oh, thank you for that wonderful introduction. That was amazing.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Listen, I will tell you, like I tell everybody else, you bring the experience. I just bring the voice, okay? I only bring the voice, but all of that is you. And I just want to say, wow, neuroscience, huh? Oh, I love it. The brain science of leadership. First of all, where did you get that idea from? What made you get started in this area?
It's really funny. I've been in leadership for many years, more than I would love to
Mhm.
say on this, probably
Okay.
20 plus. And one of the things that I just realized when I was in leadership was how much we talk to ourselves. And it's usually not in
Mm,
a nice way.
yeah.
And that gets in the way a lot of really
Wow.
engaging with employees, engaging with ourselves, being effective. And that got me turned on to coaching and
Okay.
training and helping new and mid-level leaders.
Okay.
And that passion has just grown into why do we do these things and really getting curious about it. And that's what turned me on to neuroscience and understanding how the brain takes in information. And that has
Wow.
been hugely helpful for me, my employees, clients to get out of our own way, really make lasting change of getting out of our own way.
Wow. Listen, to all of the audience, I'm just going to tell you right now, I feel like I'm going to be asking a ton of questions. I'm like, what's one of the number one challenges and how are we getting in our own way? And I'm about to ask both of those questions because she's talking about us getting in our own way. And I'm like, how many times do we do that? For one, first of all, okay, so Desiree, I have 13 questions all at once. The first thing is, what do you mean when you say we get in our own way? What do you mean by that?
What I mean by that is a lot of times our brain will function in a way where it's looking to protect us versus really looking to succeed. Because what our brain does when it processes any information that comes in, it judges it. That's a big portion of what our brain does first. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it safe? Is it not safe? Where do we want to go with it? And then we start taking action on it. Our brain, as it's pulling that information, is going through past memories, it's going through past experiences and emotions around those experiences. And it's deeming it good or bad, right or wrong, whatever it is. But it's only looking at portions of that experience. It's not looking at the entire experience. It's not looking at every little nuance. So if it's even slightly deemed negative or unsafe, you're going to react in that way because that's what your brain's telling you to do. So you may not take risks that aren't really a big risk. You may not act in a way that you're hoping to act or engage with somebody in a way that's more productive because your brain is saying, Mayday, don't do this. That's what I mean by we get in our own way. And it's usually not conscious. It's usually completely unconscious and happening so fast we don't even recognize that it's happening.
Wow. Okay. So my second question, because I told you I have 13. No, my second question is, what are some of the main ways that you've seen clients and leaders and maybe even yourself get in their own way? Are there like certain actions or habits that we have specifically that you find as like a recurring theme amongst all of the people that you've worked with, other leaders, yourself? Are there some specific things that you're just like, wow, we all do that?
Absolutely. One of the things that I noticed that we do the most, especially in leadership, is when we make a judgment. And it could be any judgment. This doesn't have to be in leadership, but as humans, we make a judgment on something. And like our brain will naturally start trying to fact find, but it's not really fact finding. It's trying to find information to uphold whatever that judgment is. A good example that I use a lot that most people can relate to is when you buy a car. You usually start seeing that model everywhere.
Yes. Or if you're interested in it, you start seeing the same color, everything. You're just like, that's my car. That's the one I'm looking at. Yes.
And there's not more of those cars. Your brain is just now narrowing in on it. So the same thing happens when we make a judgment, say, on an employee that's not doing their job. We think they're just slacking off. Every time we see them talking to somebody else, we think that they're slacking off. If they come in a little bit late or they ask for a day off, our brain starts compiling all this information going, see, I told you they're not doing their job. What it also is doing, though, is taking out all the stuff that is going well or that you could appreciate about it. Because again, it's erring on that side of caution and it's already deemed something negative. So it's going to pull all the negative out, but none of the positive. This person could be doing their job amazingly, but we're not paying attention to that at all. We're only paying attention to the fact that we are looking for anything that says what we've decided about this person is true. That happens all the time.
Wow. Is there anything else? Or is that the primary one? Or is it that that's the one that we all do, but then there are like ones that are individually or something?
We all do that. We also do it towards ourselves. So if we feel like if we make a judgment about ourselves, it becomes a capital T truth. If we decide that we're not good at something, like we can't play the piano, we won't try to find anything to make sure that's true or not. We'll just accept that as a truth. And then we won't try to play the piano. We won't have any sort of interest in it. Same thing with work. If we don't think we're good at technology, that we can't figure out spreadsheets or use Zoom, our brain will keep us from doing it. So that's the number one that I see with everybody.
With everyone. So am I allowed to ask what were some of the things that you saw in yourself before you decided to make the change and start helping others?
Yes. And it's actually a common one. And this is I don't know how this is going to come across, but I was in a very male dominated industry for most of my career. And not just a male dominated industry. I was in an industry that was probably 60 years behind every other industry when it comes to just really taking on new ideas and concepts, inclusion, diversity, any of those things, technology. When I started in that field, people were still using flip phones if they had a cell phone. And this was only 18 years ago. That was normal. As a woman in this industry, a lot of times I would have been the only female in leadership. I would have been the only female on my side of leadership because it was very much, and it's a construction industry. So we know women are not prevalent in that industry. So a lot of times the guys wouldn't know how to interact with me. And that changed how I viewed myself. It changed
Wow.
how I interacted with things. It, in a lot of ways, pushed me harder, but in a lot of other ways, put me into that role that I didn't want to be in, that supportive
Wow.
role, that caregiver role. I was the girl in the room, right? And that's how I viewed myself. And it's how I was treated. And I
Yeah.
continued perpetuating that because I was allowing it to happen. It was just that capital T truth. I am a girl. I have to act in these certain ways, or I have to work harder. I have to step on eggshells so I don't hurt the guy's feelings or egos. And that is how it showed up the most for me. And if I could have shed that, life would have been totally different. And I would have been interacted with in a totally different way. So that's one of the biggest ways that I sabotaged myself, through my brain getting in my way.
Assumptions?
Yeah.
Yeah. I was about to say, like, assumptions, right?
And it's like I'm creating my own destiny based off of that thought process.
Yes.
Self-fulfilling prophecy, right?
Yes. See, look, you were able to get the word out before me, but yes, self-fulfilling prophecy, exactly. And when you decided to make that shift from corporate to entrepreneurship, coaching, and helping people, what was the number one challenge that you started seeing leaders would face?
I saw it before I left corporate because I was doing a little of this before. I was doing coaching, I was doing training, I was doing leadership development for the corporation that I worked in. And the biggest challenge I saw was that new and mid-level leader doesn't get the same support that the C-suite and the VPs get.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's what really pushed me to do it external from my corporate life, was because there's a lot of leaders out there that want help, that want support, that want training, that want development, and they can't get it from their companies because the companies don't feel until you're at a certain level that they should be spending that money on you. Like, that's usually the thought process.
Wow.
Yeah.
Listen, Desiree said, I am not coming here to make anything sound cute and nice. I'm going to tell you all the truth. They don't think you're worth spending money on until you are at a certain level. Tell the truth to the people. Wow.
Yeah. And it's unfortunate because think about where those VPs would be at today if they had that support when they first got into leadership, when they started managing managers as directors or area managers. Those VPs would be in a totally different level. Those CEOs would be at a totally different level of leadership. A lot of the challenges that we see today would not be there.
Wow.
They just wouldn't, because that empathy would be built in. Creating culture, learning how to effectively lead change, learning how to communicate with people, learning how to hold people accountable, learning how to delegate, like all of these things that new and mid-level leaders have that challenge them wouldn't be there at the VP level. And they are still at the VP level because no one has helped them move through that. And some of them have figured it out and some haven't. That's why executive coaches can charge so much money, because you're worth it at that level, right? That's the thought process. It doesn't have to be that difficult. And you don't have to wait until you're in a VP position to get that help.
So have these mid-level managers and leaders come to you expressing their frustrations about feeling underdeveloped or undertrained in the area of their leadership capacity?
Absolutely. And a lot of them all work with companies that do understand this concept.
Okay.
But more often than not, I'm working with the one-off leader that's coming to me separate from their company, and they're paying out of pocket to get support. Like, they're investing in themselves because they may even go back to their company and their company says no, they won't support in that way, which is unfortunate.
It is. So I guess they're basically like, if the company won't pay for it, then I will. But is there any benefit to them doing it that way to stay with the company? Or do they end up getting the training and then go to a better company or more supportive company, or they stay?
You know, it really depends on the company. It's a holistic viewpoint of the company. They may not be as engaged in training and leadership development at that level, but there could be some amazing things that the company supports employees with and leadership with. So it's looking at the whole dynamic, not just at one portion of it. And kudos to a lot of these leaders that are coming, because they're understanding when they first get into leadership, if they get that support, they can still spend time with their families. They're not going to be working 10 to 12-hour days and feeling like they have to check their emails on vacation. That's what they're giving themselves. It's that gift of giving themselves back their time, their life, their stress level being lowered. And they understand that. Sometimes the companies don't see it that way.
Yeah. So then how can we as entrepreneurs learn from a lot of these corporate companies? I don't want to say learn from their mistakes, but to learn from them how we can create self-motivated employees, the type who they're like, whether the company shows up for me or not, whether the company gives me the training that I feel like I really need or deserve or not, I'm going to motivate myself. I'm going to do this. I'm going to prove that hiring me was not a mistake. How can we create that type of self-motivated employee?
Oh, I love that question. It's one of my favorite, and it gets us back into the brain science piece.
Okay.
So understanding how we tick, understanding how we take in information and how to communicate properly can actually help with that. And it's much easier to actually motivate employees than most people think. And it really comes down to what are their personal values? What do they believe in? What drives them? And getting out of the thought process that money, pizza party, titles, that's what drives people. None of those things really drive people. Even the money, like the money piece is nice. It is really great. Yet if you don't understand what they want that money for, the money doesn't really matter. It's the piece behind it. It's what it gives them. So if you can understand what really they value and what motivates them at work and home, because they're going to be the same values, you can tap into that and help them feel more engaged, and it will actually inspire them to be more motivated, and they'll run with it because you're telling them, hey, I know you value communication. With that being said, here's some things I want you to work on. Here's some projects that I can give you that can integrate that communication piece, and you can help the rest of us because that's what you shine at. The more you do that, the more they build confidence in you and their own abilities. And that's when they're going to want to tap in and go, hey, I want more of this. And then they'll be more self-motivated.
I love it. So it's when you give them that reward that aligns with, is it right to say values? Maybe not so much values, but maybe desires.
Maybe. The reason I say values is when you think about, most people don't really know what they value in life. What are those key pieces? And I do that a lot with clients, and they'll walk through. It's funny. I'll hand them a 2-page worksheet that has all these different values, and it's just a one word. And I'll ask them to rank it between 1 and 10, each of the values, how important they are to them. And they'll come back and they have ranked everything at 10, everything. And it happens almost every single time. And then we'll go back, okay, why is this a 10? Explain it to me. They're like, all of these are important. Yes, but what's the most important to you? And a lot of people cannot tell you. They just can't tell you. But when you can get them to nail that down and they tell you it's family. Family is the most important to me. Then we can go, all right, the number one thing in your life that's going to be driving you is family, whether that's supporting your family, spending time with family, thinking about family. Then you now know what is going to be pushing this person. So if you have a deadline or something that needs to be done, you won't motivate them with, hey, I'm going to up your bonus. You can say, hey, how would you like a Friday off? So you can take the family out, right? And you can connect that dot for them, and they're going to be thinking about that, and it's going to motivate them.
That's really smart. Why would you give someone a motivator that you don't even know that they would agree to, or that they would like, or that they would appreciate? We do these, when I say we, I'm not talking about me. Businesses, I'm not talking about me, but businesses and companies do these generic rewards, these generic prizes and things like that. And people be like, oh, okay, thank you. But how powerful would it be for you to know your employees' values, like the things that they really do appreciate and love above all, and then to use that as a reward? Wow. Think about the type of output that company would get from that employee.
Yeah. It's a totally different ballgame, and they feel supported. It builds that trust between the company and the employee naturally versus trying to force it or create that company culture. And all is understanding what each person values. And I'm not saying you treat them differently. I'm saying you utilize that information to help support them the best that you can. Still hold them accountable to things, yet you're holding them accountable in a way that's actually going to motivate them versus like the carrot and stick scenario or holding something over them with
Yeah.
money, whatever it is. We use a
Mhm.
lot of that stuff and think that it motivates people. And then we don't understand why they're not engaged, why they're not hitting deadlines, why they're not doing what we're asking them to do. They don't really have any buy-in to it. They just don't, because you didn't get them bought in.
Desiree, I'm sitting here and I'm wondering, does emotional intelligence for a leader play into this? Because I've had EQ training before, and we're talking about presenting employees with their values, understanding their values, what they truly care about and appreciate, and then using those as rewards, motivating factors. But I wonder if it takes a certain level of emotional intelligence for a leader to think in that capacity and begin to shape the organizational culture around doing, or at least the rewards portion around something like that. Do you agree with that, or is it something different?
No, I totally agree with that. And it all comes back to that
Mm.
one of the key pieces of emotional intelligence, which is relationship management. It's
Yes.
getting outside of yourself. And a lot of leaders, it's funny because there's usually two types of leaders. It's not a well-rounded, and I wish it was. And I think it becomes more so through coaching and training and emotional intelligence. But there's the emotional leader and there's the logical analytical leader. And they both look
Okay.
at things very differently. So the emotional leader would actually look at what I'm saying and going, we're manipulating them.
Uh-huh.
And the logical would look at it and say, I'm not a cheerleader. I don't want to do this rah, touchy feely stuff. And what's funny is nothing that I said is actually either one of those. It's really
Yeah.
getting down to understanding the person and providing them with what they need. It's part of a service.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the emotional intelligence piece. When you can check the emotions on either side, be
Yeah.
able to look at it from that holistic 5,000-foot perspective, that's when you
Mhm.
can really start engaging. So you nailed it perfectly. It's the emotional intelligence piece and being to that level and understanding what you're actually doing, how you're being effective as a leader.
I love it. So then for leaders who do not have that natural emotional connection, but I guess would it be called compassion? Like, would we just honestly call it compassion? Like, I'm like, emotional intelligence. What if they don't have it naturally? And I'm like, to me, that just sounds like compassion, maybe a bit of empathy, compassion and empathy. If a leader doesn't have that, maybe they are, like you said, logical. Here's step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's do exactly that. And there's no emotion involved. What could they do to improve or build on the lack of emotional intelligence that they have to at least remove it or start working on it, improve it? Does that make sense?
It does. It absolutely makes
Okay.
sense. It goes back to
Okay.
what we were talking about earlier with how our brain processes that information, because it has to go through the
Okay.
emotional and the memory banks first. So really
Okay.
questioning, why do I feel this is a capital T truth? Why do I have this belief? And it can go for either side, right? If you feel like, hey, I'm manipulating them, how is that a
Mhm.
fact?
Wow.
Really go back and get curious about it and do that fact finding on the story that you're telling yourself. And then
Okay.
if you're on the logical side and you're like, I'm not a cheerleader, I don't want to get to know them that well, it's a business transaction, maybe start fact finding that. How are you being effective in your business transaction? Are you being effective in it, or are you not being as effective in it because you have
Mm.
this belief around, or this judgment around, that's too touchy feely?
Yeah.
And then you can start
Okay.
moving past it. And it's going to develop the emotional intelligence as you go from either side. Curiosity.
Wow.
It's always that key piece of curiosity.
Wow. Okay. All right. Thank you for that. So then coming back more to the brain science here, the brain
Mhm.
science. One of the things that you said you were talking about is understanding how your brain naturally functions. What do you mean by that?
Our brains were designed a long time ago to interact in ways that we don't interact anymore. We were in small groups, not big groups.
Okay.
We didn't have a lot of distractions. We didn't have a lot of things pulling our mind, like our attention. And the way we process any sort of information that comes in, whether it's sense or taste, touch, whatever it is, it all enters right here in the back of our brain at the top of our spine. And it
Okay.
runs through, eventually getting to our frontal cortex. But before it gets through there, it has to pass through the midbrain, which is where our limbic system and our amygdala live. That's memory, fight or
Mm.
flight, emotions, all of that is housed in there. So everything gets processed through the emotional viewpoint first before the
Mhm.
logical. So
Okay.
everything that gets taken in, we first judge it emotionally, whether it's good or bad.
Yeah.
And that's
Okay.
where our brain takes that information and goes, what are past experiences that kind of match up with this? So we understand what the outcome might be. We're always trying to make our best guess. That's how the brain works with everything. But the challenge is it's not looking at the full picture anymore. It's now looking at past experiences. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Yeah. Yeah.
So if you can understand how to work when it's in that moment, when it's in that part of your brain, you can actually get it into your frontal cortex faster to more clear-headed, rational, creative thought process. That's what I mean by understanding how it works and working with it instead of against it. Because a lot of times we'll fight it. If we're having a strong emotion about something, we'll be like, why am I feeling that? Why am I frustrated right now? I'm like burnout. That's because your brain is in that motion and you're staying in it. You're staying stressed. You're stressing it even more by second guessing yourself instead of taking a step back and going, why am I stressed? Why am I really stressed? What is going on here? What am I thinking? What's the thought process around this? And then fact finding it. Is this what's really happening? Or is that past experiences? And I always use an example of, if you think about that one boss that you just did not like, we've all had that one. That one boss, right?
Some of us have more than one.
And when they would call you into their office, your knee-jerk reaction to be like, oh, what now? This is going to be bad or something's wrong. Most of the time when you'd walk into that office, it probably wasn't.
Yeah.
But we would go into that situation thinking that it was going to be bad. So think about how you showed up. There's anxiety, there's stress. You're probably not fully paying attention to that person. And it could be something amazing, but your interactions are being sabotaged by the way your brain functions.
Okay. Wow. So she said, think about how you show up. You're going in, you're showing up with fear, anxiety, doubt, disappointment, negativity. That's that inner critic always talking, telling you, remember you misspelled that word? I told you you should have went back and spelled it. They're calling you into the office because it's a professional environment and you didn't even use spell check and blah, blah, blah. Just, that's how you show up. But really what they want to do is, commend you for doing a job well done. And you're just like, oh, okay.
It's looking for that car again. Your brain is looking for the car.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love it. She is helping us on today. Okay. Think about how you show up.
Yeah.
Don't show up with the negative mentality thinking that something bad, something bad is about to happen, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't have to be like that.
And that's one of my favorite sayings, is actually based on an old fable. And it's about who's to say what is good and what is bad. And you walk through a farmer's life and all of the things that go sideways or could be construed as sideways. And all the neighbors are coming over and saying, oh, we're so sorry that happened. And the farmer keeps going back and saying, who's to say what is good and what is bad? And something good happens. And the neighbors come over and say, that's amazing. We're so happy for you. And he says, who's to say what is good and what is bad? Because each scenario has negative and positive that can happen from it. And we never know what's going to happen or what all the side effects are from any situation. So if we go judging it's going to be bad, we're going to view it as bad. But all of the beautiful things that could have happened from whatever that meeting was or whatever that negative experience is, we miss because we're only looking for the bad things. We're only looking for the car that we've already started looking for. So it's all about that intention.
Okay. So coming back, talking about intentions, let's focus on that for a little bit. How can we intentionally feel more excited for what our day has to offer? As people who work, how can we be more intentional about what we expect to happen? And hopefully it's a good anticipation. How can we be more intentional about that?
You actually have full control over that. And I love this question because it's one of the things that we are already doing, but we don't realize we're doing it in a counterproductive way. Think about negative situations and how often you replay them in your mind, going, I wish I had said this, or this is all the things that went wrong with that I would like to improve upon. Yet we don't replay it going, I am going to improve in this way. We just focus on those negative pieces. The crazy thing is that your brain doesn't know the difference between a memory, a vision, and a daydream. So every time you replay that, you're actually creating new memories for your brain to pull out when you're judging the situation. So if you're thinking about, oh, tomorrow I have all these things I need to get done, and it's a very negative feeling, you're actually just dampening that anticipation, all of that excitement. Yet if you look at it from the lens of, oh, I get to do this stuff tomorrow, and that's going to cause this, and these things are going to be able to happen because of it, Then you're putting that daydream in for your brain. So when you wake up the next morning and it goes, okay, here's your laundry list of stuff you have to do today. Instead of associating that laundry list with the negative feelings that you had put in, you're now building that excitement and that anticipation. So you can proactively do that. And the more you proactively do that, and the more you look at it from that perspective, the more natural it happens. So when you wake up, you actually are excited for the day versus dreading it.
Wow. We got to talk about this brain building a memory, whether it's you thinking of something in the future or okay, help me, because I think I have created a whole lot of memories. Okay. I think I created a whole lot of bad memories, and they were just preoccupations, worries about something that could or could not have happened. It's the potential threats. It's the potential trauma. It's the potential failure that we tend to harp on because that inner critic is always talking, saying something. So whatever we really concentrate on, focus on, meditate on, that's what the brain takes and say, oh, that's past, present, and future happening all at once.
Yeah.
It's no differentiation. So it just takes it and makes it be a part of everything.
Yeah. And
oh, Lord.
I know. The first time I heard that was my reaction. I was like, what, how am I going to have this happy life, this like fulfilling life? If my brain is actually doing this. And it goes back to when we understand how our brain functions, then we can work in the program with it versus trying to work against it. And that's what we naturally want to do, is work against what our brain does. Our brain is trying to keep us safe. So it will replay those negative events over and over again as a way to solidify that this is not how we want to move forward. The challenge is that when everything's viewed through an emotional lens, things are going to probably skew to the scared side more often. It's like talking about that one bad boss, right? You're focused on that now. So when you walk in that room, you're going to be nitpicking every single thing that person does. You're not going to look for anything that might change your thought process on it because your brain is so hyper focused on it. That's why we replay it. So we're not really looking at the whole situation that happened, and we're not replaying it properly. There's a lot of good information in that actual experience that could be supportive. And that's what I'm saying. If you go back, you can actually outweigh all that negative replaying by focusing on, how do I want to show up next time? If I was going to replay this and it worked out perfectly, what does that look like? Versus, okay, here's all the things that went wrong in that conversation or that experience. Then you're creating new memories to outweigh the bad memories. And you'll interact in a more positive way and more intentional way because you're focused on that piece versus the negative.
Wow. Now this takes practice.
It does. It does. But not as much as you actually
You have to be intentional, right? You have to be intentional about doing this because you take someone who is a natural born pessimist, they are not going to get I could be wrong. I don't think so, but I could be wrong. And there's one anomaly out there who could prove me wrong, I'm sure. There's one person who is the exception to the rule. But I would say it's probably difficult. I know, and I'm not a pessimistic person at all. I am definitely not a pessimist. I've been an optimist for as long as I remember. But one thing I could say is that negativity happens. It happens. It comes, it goes, it just happens. And so even with the transformation of dealing with that negative self-talk so that my brain can send signals to me, it gives me, I'm about to mix up a little culture here so that my brain can give me good vibes, send good vibes my way. It's challenging. It's challenging because when you start dealing with your negative self-talk, you start dealing with the ugly part of you. So I could imagine doing what you're saying to do to begin to change. I'm like, for some, that might be almost impossible. Almost.
It can be. It can be very difficult. It's like a catch-22. If you deal with that negativity, you're then putting yourself in a stressful situation. And what does your brain want you to do? Not put yourself in stressful situations. So you're going against the natural way of doing things. And when we try to do it in the moment, that's where our brain fights us the most. So they've actually done studies with MRIs where they'll do MRI studies on the brain and how it's processing that stress and where the brain is lighting up. And then they will take all the participants and give them 15 minutes a day where they will practice mindfulness, where they're controlling where their brain is actually focusing. So instead of just letting it go loose and think about whatever comes up, they'll go back onto whatever they're focusing on. Their breathing, the taste, texture, and temperature of food as they're eating, whatever it is. But they're telling their brain, I'm going to focus, like I have control over what we're paying attention to. You don't anymore.
Yeah.
Like I want that back. We're not just going to go and look at those cars everywhere. I want to see all the cars.
Yeah.
So they take that and then they couple it with 5 to 10 minutes of thinking about situations proactively and going, all right, I know I'm going to walk into that boss's office and I naturally am going to be triggered by X, Y, and Z. So instead of being triggered when I'm recognize I'm about to be triggered or I know I'm in that situation, I'm going to respond this way. And they just play that scenario out over and over again for that 5 to 10 minutes. They do this for 4 to 6 weeks. And you would be amazed at the results in the MRIs. So instead of getting stuck in the amygdala and that limbic system, the brain waves actually shoot to the frontal cortex because the stress and those threats that they perceived before now aren't threats or stresses anymore because they're not interacting that way. They've already trained their brain to go, I don't need to be worried about that. It's not a real stress. And our brain, the way it functions, was created for self-preservation, for actually keeping us alive. The stuff that now stresses us out won't kill us.
Yeah.
But we see it that way. So that's really the difference between it.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Geez. Okay. And so how long have you been in neuroscience?
I've gotten really curious about it in probably the past 5 years. Really started getting into it. And it stemmed off of emotional intelligence training and how the brain functions in that way and understanding emotional hijacking. But I do a lot of things. I'm getting certified right now in positive intelligence, which a lot of this is based in that.
Positive intelligence?
Positive intelligence. It's all about how to refocus your brain instead of all the negative aspects of life, refocusing on the positive and looking for opportunities and gifts and situations versus looking for what could go wrong. Because our brain wants to fix stuff, but not everything needs to be fixed. And sometimes by trying to fix it, we actually create bigger problems. Think about relationships. You're trying to fix your significant other. They probably don't appreciate it. And then you're training them. You're actually teaching them how to behave towards you and vice versa. So if you're looking for problems, they're going to look for problems too. And then there will be a problem versus if you're looking for the gifts and opportunities in situations, then it's gifts and opportunities and it's fun. It's not something to dread or something to worry about.
Wow.
I love all of this stuff. I told you I'm a nerdy brain, like the brain stuff. It's just exciting to me because it gives us choice back. We can actually choose how we want to show up versus feeling like everything's wrong. And it's not. But our brain tells us that all the time. You
just said that we can choose how we want to show up.
Yes. It's not.
I need somebody to remember that. I need somebody. As a matter of fact, I just need you to type in the comments really quickly. I get to choose how I want to show up. Now, obviously, some of us do not choose correctly because how we show up is not the best representation. But that's empowering to say, I get to choose how I show up. Wow.
It doesn't depend on the other person. It's all up to us. And it's all about stepping into our authentic selves and being true to us.
Yes, the beginning of this year, I did a whole series on being authentic, being true to yourself. What does that look like? And if you're watching this on the video version, then you can check out the playlist somewhere over here. And I will make sure that the button's up there. You can click and you can go back and look at the whole playlist of the transparency series. And for those of you who are listening to the audio version, I'll put the link in the description box in the show notes so you don't have to miss out too. But I'm so glad you brought that up. But I'm still on this here. Positivity intelligence? Positive intelligence? I'm over here creating new names for positivity intelligence. All wrong.
Hey,
positive intelligence is what we're trying to say here. But yes, wow.
Yeah.
I love it. And that's one of the things that I know a lot of people have issues with science. And they're like, science isn't necessarily always proven true and all of that, or there's so many ups and downs with it. And I'm like, because it's an ever-growing organism. Science can be amazing. It keeps evolving because you never want to just learn one thing and stay there. No, we need to know, how can we take this result and how can we get to the next? Hearing what you just shared with us, and there's a couple of takeaways, very strong takeaways that I have. But I would love to hear from you all in the comments. What are some of your strong takeaways from Desiree Musselman today? It was definitely talking about how the brain doesn't differentiate It can't distinguish between memory right now or a daydream or something. I'm like, wait a minute, my daydreams can be planted in my mind as if it's a memory. Like I did it. Oh no, we're gonna have to. Oh no, we're gonna have to work on that. And then of course, quite a few other things that we talked about, but specifically how you can, one, I think is how you can be motivated yourself as a leader, but then also how to create an environment where employees are self-motivated. And then making sure that you use rewards that align with their values. Because if you don't, then it's just going to be like, oh, thank you. This was nice. Why did they give me this? I'm going to get this to somebody for Christmas. Like, you don't want it to be like that. You don't want it to be like that. And it doesn't have to be. Wow. Desiree, this has been so powerful. I really appreciate you being here with us in the Leaders Lab today.
Thanks for having me. It's been so much fun. This has been a wonderful conversation.
I agree. And so tell the people, how can they connect with you?
Oh, lots of different ways. I am on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. There's my website, DrCharityTV.com, which you can find a bunch of tips and tricks and free resources to be able to up-level your own leadership skills or to give them to your team to help them up-level their own leadership skills. Lots of different ways to get a hold of me.
Okay. And do you ever check your email?
All the time. It's probably one of my guilty pleasures. Too much, but it's at hello@desiredeffectscoaching.com. You can reach me there.
Okay, excellent. And for those of you who are listening to the audio version, don't worry, just check the show notes below and all of Desiree's links will be right there where you can connect with her. Desiree, thank you once again so much for being in the Leaders Lab with us. This has been a treat, and we're going to have you back for season 3 because we're going to have to talk more about positive intelligence. And really, I'm like, oh, we should get all the intelligences together, right? Except for IQ. Everybody knows IQ. We don't care about that. But emotional intelligence, positive intelligence, cultural intelligence. What is the other one? It's called collaborative intelligence. Can you believe that? Collaborative intelligence. It's really good, actually, but it's more for me as a doctor of management and then also someone who focuses on organization development and leadership. It's right on the money for me to say, oh, okay, this collaborative intelligence is because of XYZ. I think we should have a show in season 3 where we bring all the intelligences together and we just talk about like the ones that, or maybe we can like order them, put them in order or something and be like, this is the way you need to live, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know. It's like right now it's off the top of my head, but I'm feeling the idea.
I love that. And we could find everywhere that it overlaps. And that would probably be like the golden circle, right? That all those key pieces. That would be amazing. I'm on board. Just let me know.
All right. That's what I'm talking about. Maybe in the first quarter, because I want us to hit every Entreleader early before the year really takes off. Because I'm very serious about that. I'm very dedicated and committed to making sure that we get people at the beginning of the year, in the middle, like a checkpoint. Hey, how you doing? Listen, we got half a year left. What is on your plate? What do you have planned? So yeah. But again, Desiree, thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate you being here.
Oh, it was totally my honor.
Excellent. Thank you. And listen, ladies and gents, don't forget that you can also connect with me on social media everywhere at DrCharityTV. And maybe you might want to be a guest on the Leaders Lab podcast. You can send us an email to the Leaders Lab podcast at DrCharityTV. And someone will email you or respond to you within 72 hours. Not only that, don't forget that this year is flying by. Okay, this year is flying by. Whether you are an employee or an entrepreneur, I want you to be in your best mind, in your best spirit. Be prepared to finish strong because you never know what's on the other side of the tension and, the stress and all the things that your brain is telling you is going on. Take a moment, relax. For she said, Desiree Musselman said in this episode, you get to choose how you show up. You get to choose how you show up. And so if I was you, I would choose wisely because you never know who's watching you. You never know who is considering you for a promotion or considering hiring you as a consultant. You just never know. So choose how you want to show up. Make sure it coincides with your values, your brand, whatever it is. And be the best you that you can be. That's all we got for you today. Thank you so much for tuning in to the Leaders Lab podcast with us. And I will catch you all next week in the lab.
Thank you for listening to the Leaders Lab podcast. Visit our website at www.drcharitytv.com.